Hello and welcome to another episode of The Molten Truth. This is Zoey Michaels and we have a returning guest. We have Liisa Kovala back with us today. Welcome back.
Well, thanks so much for having me again, Zoe. It's great.
Yeah. I take it as a huge compliment when people come back to my show. I think, they must have liked me well enough to try again.
100% for sure. It was great last time.
Sounds good. Well, before we get too deep in and just start having our fun with the conversation, as we like to do here, I do want people to be reminded of your website. So if you can refresh their memory.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm at Liisa Kovala, bookcoach.com. It's all the things, my books, my book coaching, cozy mysteries, everything is there. So Lisa with two eyes, if you're looking for me.
Absolutely. I think that, thank you for that. And I'm just now realizing, wow, I kind of butchered your last name because you say
It's
it
all good.
Kovala and I called it Kovala. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said it in a way that I
I
needed to
really
go,
get all
oh,
the things. I really do.
it happens. Language is such a fascinating thing in how people interpret sounds. Um, I was related by my grandmother's remarriage to a Dutcher family,
Okay.
but people would pronounce it Dutcher.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
And when you see it on the page, it looks like it should be one way, and then
Hmm.
it just has a different accent or a different like emphasis on a syllable or whatever. Yeah, there's always something, right?
Isn't it? It's just funny that way. Or even the way they'll spell a name, and it's the same name, but it's spelled differently. And some of that kind of goes back to, I guess, Ellis Island here in the States, because I think you're in Canada, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah, yeah. But here in the States, I knew a family whose name basically got kind of cut in half for convenience when they came through on Ellis Island. So they were known from that time on as, this name rather than the full version of their name, which was
Right.
not difficult.
Yeah.
But whoever the power was decided, nope, it needs to be even more simple than that.
Yeah, 100%. That happened here a lot too. There was a big mining community. It's still a mining community, but back in the day when Finns would come here with these really long names with lots of vowels, they'd be like, "No." And okay, you're Smith now. Like not even close to what their original name was. Really? And of
Oh,
course they didn't speak the language, so then they were confused. But yeah, so it happens everywhere, I suppose.
I guess so. But it sure makes it hard to trace family history and to find interesting characters for stories, for that matter, I would imagine, if you're trying to find inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. And my last name, apparently, from my dad's side, it was Iskovala, which in Finnish is Kovala, but it was Kovalainen at one point. And I guess what happened at some point, two brothers decided one would be Kovala and the other one said, "Oh, I'm just keeping Kovalainen." And so there's kind of two groups of the same family who have different last names. So you're right, it can get really complicated when you start
That's
choosing your last name.
fascinating history, though.
Yeah.
Wow. That's one for the that just made my wheels turn.
Yeah, right?
that two siblings could go different directions with their
Yeah.
last name from that point
Yeah.
on, and how the family would kind of follow suit and still be related. That's
Yeah.
fascinating to think about.
And I wish I knew
That's
why. Like, what was the decision-making process there? Like, why did one go this way and one go that way? I have no idea. And there's no records of that. So we just know that the names were changed at some point,
Yeah, that is interesting. I feel like there should be like a book, like a story around that.
right?
That could
Hmm.
be such a fascinating story. There's all kinds of rich things that you could do with your imagination as to how this came about, like some big rift in the family, and
Right.
just
Yeah, that would be
there's
so
oh,
good.
my wheels are turning.
Yeah. It's interesting how little details like that can make you really think about stories and how to create something out of just this little detail and what
Yeah,
if, right? It's a really great way to begin that process of figuring out your story.
so true, and far more fascinating, on that personal level than, you know, my wacky mind also went to two stores here in the United States. They are related. They're owned by the same family, and that's why one store has occasionally some really cool things, but they could not be more different as far as the type of clientele they attract, but they are from the same family source.
Yeah.
So just the way the mind
Interest.
links.
Yeah. That is interesting. I love
Yeah.
it.
So what is new with you since we last spoke? Did you have a book
Well,
coming
since
out
I
or?
just had a book come out last week. So on
Ah, there we
February the
go.
15th. Yeah, it came out on the 3rd. And it was the first book in the Hygge House Cozy Mystery series called Hygge and Homicide. And the
Okay.
second one comes out beginning of April on April, I want to say April 2nd. So it's hot on the heels of the first one, which wasn't my intention. It was actually an error on my part that ended up being like, well, I guess the book's coming out on that date. And I had to hustle to get it done. But I like a deadline, so it was fine. And book 3 will come out in August. So that'll give me a little bit more space,
Oh,
breathing room. But yeah, so
that's
it's been really
good.
fun.
Well,
Yeah.
as someone who gets wrapped up in a series and has little patience for the next book, I applaud that they're coming up kind of on the heels of
Yeah.
each other because you no sooner finish like one part of a series and you're anxious for the next one,
Yeah.
and if you have to wait like a whole year for it, it's like
I
no, because then
know. It's true.
I'm the person who's going to go back and reread so I can pick up a
Okay.
continuous story.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, I'm the same way, especially when it comes to like these Netflix series or something where you binge watch 6 or 8 episodes and then it's like 2 years later and you're thinking what even happened in the first series. So I totally get it about books that you kind of lose the train if you've had a lot of reading in between. So it makes sense to go
Yes.
back. But yeah, it wasn't really intentional to have them come out this close. I was going to have them more like 3 or 4 months between, but this is what happened and it's fine. That book is almost ready. I have it in the hands of the proofreader right now, and then I'll just make my last minute changes and out it goes. So I'm excited about it.
That is very cool. That is so
Yeah.
great. So then, what are you occupying yourself with in the meantime? Because it sounds like you've
Ugh.
got those books taken care of. So what's
Well, I
next
have the
on
first
your
two.
agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my agenda is always a little erratic. Like I have, because I wear lots of different hats. So book 3 is in the works. So I've started drafting like I have a plan for it. I've worked it out. I just need to get down to writing. So I've been sort of getting to it when I can. Um, and then of course I have book coaching clients. So I always have regular work with clients and on their manuscripts, which is so fun. I love that work so much. And I have another group book coaching session starting at the end of March. So, those things keep me busy with planning for classes and to make sure I'm ready for those classes. And then when they start, I have, lots of reading of their work and meeting with folks. And then I'm writing a book proposal, which I won't talk about so much right now, but that's the first time I've written a book proposal, like for a nonfiction book. So that's a learning curve too, right? So all these little things independently are fine on their own, but when you put them all together, you're like, when do I have time to have dinner? Oh yes, I have to walk the dog. But
That's so
I
true.
enjoy all of the things. It's fun, and I take these things on, and we have a literary festival here in Sudbury, and I'm on the board for that. So we're planning that for the fall, and I have a really fun thing coming up at the end of May. So Book Coaches Canada is an organization I belong to, and we're planning. It's called Right On 2026, and it'll be 2 full days of sessions for writers, and it's free. And it'll be on Zoom. So that'll be the registration isn't quite open yet. It will be open soon, but we will ask people to register, but there's no fee to attend. And there's going to be so many great sessions. I'm really excited about it. So that's coming
Amazing.
at the end of May.
So only for people who live in Canada or
Oh,
open to your
anywhere.
neighbors to the south?
Anywhere. We love our neighbors to the south for sure. Of course, pay attention to time because it's going to be Eastern Standard Time. So for some sessions, you might be like, yeah, I'm not getting up that early or not staying up that late, but they'll be running throughout the day. So I think we'll be able to accommodate sessions for everybody. And there's a lot of variety between publishing information and working on like drafting and revising and planning and mindset activities and all kinds we're covering everything, fiction, memoir, nonfiction. So I think it's going to be really, really fun. And
Very
yeah, we
cool.
love people from the States too. come on by.
Okay. So does this information include like what happens after you finish your book and like the process
Yeah.
to actually get it published or to make sure that you get your well just
Yeah.
being the
Yeah,
newbie that I've been this
absolutely.
whole last year, I'm only now learning that there's like a process to release it. You can't just go, okay, it's done, it's edited, and now here it is. No, apparently there's a whole like standard of certain timelines before you actually officially release it in order for it to be a successful launch.
Yeah,
And that's not
absolutely.
something that the average person may realize.
That's right. Yeah, it's interesting because if you haven't done it before, you are not in the industry, it's just how would you know, right? You just there's things we just don't know. So I think that's what will be lovely about these sessions. They're all focused on something different, but I think there'll be opportunity for people to ask questions too. So there's one about publishing, and so there'll be opportunities to ask the book coach about what that might look like for the traditional or self-publishing, and because those are different routes too, right? So I think it'll be a really fun-filled and very informative weekend. And so, especially if somebody's starting out and they're just like, okay, getting their feet wet, I think they'll find something that will help them move their project forward or kind of plan ahead for, like you say, the next steps when it comes to publishing. And yeah, it'll be great. We have really lovely book coaches in this group, and they're going to share their expertise.
That sounds amazing. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, I believe I will be tuning in for that weekend.
Amazing. I'd love to see you there.
Yeah, that'd
Awesome.
be great.
Yeah.
So, talk to me more about the book coaching services that you offer. I assume, no one does anything for free. I mean, it's just not realistic. It's not fair to not do something for free because it takes your time. Your time is valuable. So, how does that work in your world with the book coaching?
Yeah. Well, and you're exactly right. The thing is, like for me, like this is my work. Like I'm an author and a book coach. That's what I do for a living. So that's how I put food on the table. So
Yeah.
you're right. But I do try to offer a range of things so that there's different folks are ready for different things at different times. So for instance, I have some writers who come every Monday night from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, like Eastern Standard Time, just to write. Like we get together on a Zoom and we set the timer and we check in on goals, and then they write for 30 minutes, and then we have a little break, and then we go another 30, 40 minutes. So for them, that is like that's what they need. They just need accountability. They need to show up, they need to write with other people, and they know that they can count on that every Monday night. So that's been really fun. And like, as for some writers, that's all they need. So that's a really, low price point because it's just like a Substack subscription and super easy. And then I work with writers, and sort of the next level I would say is like the group book coaching. So the price there is a little bit more moderate. I have 6 week groups, or eight, often they're 8 week groups. And usually there's 5, 6. I've had as many as 8, but usually I try to keep it under, 8. 6 is a really nice number. And we again meet on a Zoom on a Sunday night for an hour and a half. And there are some mini lessons, and we write a little bit together and we have a discussion. Sometimes we'll do hot seat coaching on somebody's pages, which is really fun because everyone learns from that. And then throughout the week, they have a goal setting. They have a little inspirational thing happening. And then they submit work to me at the end of the week, and I read and make comments and give it back to them so that they can start to like see they're writing and they're getting ideas and they're getting feedback sort of in real time. So that's a really nice way to kind of get your foot wet into book coaching and what that can be for you, but without being at like just you. Like there's a small group and you get to meet other writers and see what they're working on, and it's really fun. So we learn a lot from each other. And then the sort of the high end, high touch part is the one-on-one book coaching, right? So that's when I'm working individually with somebody. They're sending me pages biweekly, and I'm giving them in-text comments on their work, and I'm giving them an editorial letter. And then we have a Zoom call after that letter so that we can talk about what's happening with the pages. And I love it so much because like the goal here is not for me to be like, oh, you must do this. That's not what we're doing. I'm coaching, right? I'm not telling you what to do with your work, but it's helping draw out where you want this to go and how to get there. And for some people who are newer, there's a lot of discussion about craft, about structure, all like plot, character setting, all the things, right? For some more experienced writers, we're really digging into some other issues that what's happening in the manuscript. Yeah, so I feel like there's kind of a wide range of offerings for people, depending on where they're at in this journey and what they're looking for. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Sure thing. Now, does your guidance include telling them, okay, now that you finished your manuscript, where do you go to get it edited or to get the finishing touches, the feedback to clean it up
Yeah,
to make it ready? Because as much
100%.
as we think our work is perfect, we know it
Yeah.
isn't.
No, and I've had a couple of authors who are at that stage. So one of them just published her book. Well, I want to say on February 14th because it was Valentine's Day, and she'd been working with me on her book for a long time, and so then we had a lot of conversations of okay, what's next? When are you like? She decided she wanted to self publish, so we talked about that. We talked about the programs to use. I suggested I think she used Vellum. I use Atticus because I have a PC, but she uses Vellum, and we talked about like the book launch and how to organize that and how much time you need to get that out on social media. So there was a lot of conversations just to get her really comfortable and knowing where she was headed with that. And she had the best. I was at the book launch. It was so fun. She had the best book launch. And it was just so lovely to see this project that had gone from like this seed of an idea to this fully formed book with this great cover that she had somebody design for her and just this beautiful story. So yeah, and I have another author who's a memoir writer and she's now getting an edit. And she's hasn't quite decided if she wants to pitch yet or if she wants to self-publish. So there's a little bit of back like we've had some conversations back and forth about that too. So there's no wrong choice. It's just a choice, but it's good to have the conversation with somebody who knows. If I talk to my husband about any of this, he's like, I don't know. Like he's very intelligent, but he doesn't know anything about the industry. So having
Yeah.
somebody in your corner that can say, okay, these are like I have traditionally published and self-published. So it's nice to see like there's benefits to both and there's drawbacks to both. And to be able to communicate that and really it's the author who gets to decide where they want to go. And if they want to pitch it and try agents and try publishers, go for it. I mean, we know it's a lengthy process that can take a long time to get that in play. And then even if you do get a yes from an agent or a publisher, we're talking another 2 years of waiting before it actually gets published. So some people don't want to wait that long, and that's perfectly fine. They want to get their book out. And so then that's a conversation about, okay, self-publishing and what could that look like and all the different platforms that they could use. Hybrid publishing is very popular, how to self-publish. So it's really fun to see authors get to that stage where their book is ready. And like you say, they'll need the editor, they'll need a proofreader, ARC readers, a lot of them
Hmm.
get ARC readers, and then getting blurbs for their book and getting advanced reviews. Like there's a whole stream of things to do that they're not thinking about when they're writing necessarily because they just want to get the story done. So, and I appreciate
Exactly.
that, but also there's other things to keep in mind.
Right. Well, and the reviews thing is no joke. I mean, I'll have to say this whole last year was such a learning experience for me as I published my own books for the first time ever. I mean, the things I did not know and ran into obstacles along the way. Number one being gain reviews. And
Yes.
I had actually hired a hybrid publisher at one point, and they did not have my best interest at heart. They were
Oh,
like, "Oh, nope, let's just get the book out, and the reviews will come." Well,
ah,
that's fairyland. That's not
yeah,
remotely true.
yeah.
I think at the end of the day, they were just looking to make a buck. They did a beautiful cover for my book, and they did some
Good.
beautiful artwork for like the social media,
Yeah.
but the rest of it was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's so hard because I think there's a lot of misconceptions, even with traditional publishing, that if you get a traditional publisher, they will do all that for you. And they won't. They will do some, and depending on their size of the press, they can get access to some things and maybe some reviews and maybe some, I don't know, some kind of highlight in a magazine or something. But even those publishers don't have the resources that they used to have to be able to help authors like create their platform. And so even if you're not traditionally published and you're just, you decided to self-publish, either way, you need to create your own platform. You need to make those connections. You need to reach out to people. You need to ask for reviews, which is hard because a lot of us
It
are
is.
introverted and we're like, we don't want to ask.
Well,
Please
and
read
you
my
ask
book.
friends and family, and they're the last people who will actually put
Oh,
reviews. You
right.
ask 100
Yeah.
people, you might get 5,
100%.
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. It can be very frustrating, but also I think it's nice to know that this is not unusual, that it is difficult, and that others authors are struggling too. And just keep reminding people like I feel like a little bit of a what do they call it? Like a broken record, because I'm always like if you like it, please leave a review. Like it really does help authors. Like, and not necessarily for me, do it for anybody you're reading, because even that like one line will help, that like couple words will help them. And it's the only way we can kind of break into the algorithm and say, okay, this is a book that other people might like. So you're helping other readers, you're helping the author, but you're helping other readers too. So
Exactly.
it's hard.
We're not like restaurants. Restaurants have professional reviewers that go specifically to review a restaurant, or, you know, it isn't like we get to just show up and put our book on a shelf like, clothing lines might put, clothes on a shelf, and, you don't read reviews, about this clothing item, unless, of course, you're shopping on Amazon or someplace, then you
I
might.
suppose, yeah.
But, if you're going to, JCPenney, for example, there's no review there about this particular clothing item. It's just there it is on the shelf, and do you like it, and how does it fit? With
That's right.
books, you are 100% dependent on the readers to
Yeah,
leave a breadcrumb for other readers to find. And
that's
it's not
true.
something that you can do for yourself.
Yeah, no, it's just hoping that folks who have, like, if you've given out art copies or review copies ahead of time, that's a really good idea. Book Funnel is a great place for that. You can upload sample chapters or even the whole book and ask for reviews, and hope that the people who download it will actually follow through. And I think most people genuinely want to, and they plan to. Maybe not in the time frame we would love, but I think most people are really generous about their time. But it's, like you say, you might send out 100 copies, but you get only a handful of reviews back, and it's kind of the nature of the game. And I have to say, like, I know what that is on the reader end, because everyone's life is busy. So I think, oh, I will do that XYZ for that person. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do that thing. Right. So it's kind of human nature too. It's not that they're not wanting to help and not wanting to write a review, but I think we all just get really busy. So
I get you.
it's
And it
hard.
wouldn't be a huge deal, but we're dealing with algorithms.
Yeah.
It's the marketplace algorithms that are creating this extra work for the
Yeah.
reader and
Yeah.
this extra challenge for us.
That's right.
Uh,
And
it
those
is what it
algorithms keep
is.
changing and nobody knows how or
Yes.
why, or like I don't
Kind of like
understand it.
taxes.
Right.
Rules change every year, like taxes do.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, it is a frustrating thing, but we keep plugging away. I think we would probably write anyway. Is my thought. Is even
It's true.
despite all of that, at the end of the day, we still love the work and we still love the creating these worlds, and hope that we find the readers, the people who will love it too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
for
true.
sure.
Whether it's a small audience or a large audience.
That's right.
Right now, I'm actually making from scratch a book to help a young girl whose family comes from Zimbabwe. So her
Yes.
native tongue is Swahili at home. And she's 9 years old. Her grasp of the English language, she can speak it well, but she doesn't always understand. And
Right.
she also definitely, she's an interesting mix of, she knows some small words, she also knows some big words, but there's a lot of small words that she doesn't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So I have been making from scratch kind of a book to teach her
Oh, so
that
good.
is like a story about her and her little sister, and little exercises along the way. And
Oh,
I
that's
probably
such
will
a
never
great
publish it
idea.
officially, but for her,
You know what
it's
though?
just
Like it's for her, it's going to be such a treasure. She'll always remember that. But what a great concept to have and be able to personalize it for
Yeah.
kids? Like, how meaningful is that, right?
Well, that's what I'm
Maybe you have an
thinking.
idea there for future publication,
There you go.
right?
Personalized school books.
Yes,
You
right?
know.
I would have loved that as a kid. See my name
Yeah.
on in a book.
Well,
Amazing.
here's the funny thing. She actually told some friends of mine, "Yeah, Zoe found a book that has my name." Has no clue it was made specifically for her.
Love
So
it.
later in life, then she'll realize,
She will.
oh,
Yeah, that's even more special because you made it for her. I love this so much.
yeah,
What a
yeah. Right now,
great
she just thinks
idea.
I found it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so amazing.
Hmm.
And that's just it, right? And then we always talk about representation and the fact like we will need to see ourselves reflected in what we're reading, and like you can't get more personal than that, right? And, like that's just I think it's brilliant. I think you have a whole other career right there because you're not busy enough.
Right?
Oh, amazing.
Oh boy, do try to guard my time though. I try to, as many irons as I have in the fire. There are certain times I block out just for
Yeah,
me. You
good.
know,
So did you come to that at some point? Did it take you a while to figure out, oh, I need to, because I think I'm struggling with that right now. My schedule is all over the place, and I think I need to do that too. Like I think I'm going to block this time out, and then something happens and I'm not able to. But what made you decide, oh, I need to do that?
I think it was realizing how many opportunities for socializing I was missing out on.
Right.
You know, when I first started this podcast, of course, it's evenings and weekends. I already work a full time job to live. So this
Right.
is my spare time, quote
I hear
unquote,
you.
right? And I don't have a husband to worry about. I just have the dog and two cats.
Yes.
So I had the time. And when I first started the podcast, I really was eager to give it a good, strong start. So I was, talking to people probably 3, 4 days of the week,
Yeah.
good chunks of the day, and doubling up on episodes twice a week at first. But I was missing out on invitations because I had booked myself out so far. And I thought,
Right.
this is good. We got a good, solid start, but you need time to think your own thoughts, to have recreation, whether it's by yourself, vegging out or
Yeah.
reading or getting out with people.
Yes.
So I came to that, I think, probably 4 or 5 months ago. So
Yeah.
about 3 or 4 months into the podcast, I backed off,
Yes.
rescheduled things where I have 2 dedicated days a week now where I do podcast interviews like
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I do research. If I'm in the mood to write, then I write. Um, I am not very disciplined.
Yeah, no, I think this is so important and brilliant. Like to say, okay, I'm going to dedicate these times and then stick to that, right? Because I think my issue right now is probably where you were 4 or 5 months ago, just kind of like booking all the things and then realizing, oh, but also I'm so tired. And how do I, right? So I think that's a good lesson for everyone to just say, okay, look at the schedule. What's your time? What are you willing to do for other things? And which days you're going to devote to that. I think that's really something I need to just look at the schedule and plan differently. Like I don't want to give up any of the things, but I can be more efficient for sure.
Well, and here's the thing: if we're so busy with these things, where are we getting our inspiration for our stories? We get
Yeah,
it
it's
from
good.
living our life and having that socialization or having that time to read about this or that thing that happened that spurs ideas to go into our stories. We have to have time to live, to
Yeah,
recreate.
you're right.
Otherwise, it's a blank slate. Like, what do you
Yeah.
got?
Yeah, you convinced me, so I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to be better. Schedule it myself, and this is the advice I would give writers. I always tell them make sure you schedule yourself in, right? Whether it's for their writing or for other things. But sometimes we give advice better than we take it.
It's so true. But we all need that, they call it work-life balance, but, I
Yes.
just put it straight up to just balance. We need
Yes.
time for us to think our own thoughts because it's exhausting
Yeah,
otherwise.
it
And
is.
something you once enjoyed becomes a chore.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's right. Like I love the idea that you will be more inspired if you have that time to rest and to just be and not feel like you have to get everything done on the checklist. And I'm very task oriented, so the list is always there, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? But I also have to remember to not do anything sometimes, and that's really good for us, good for our sleep, good for our mental health, and like you say, good for our creativity, for sure. I
For
love that.
example, where are you the most inspired? Like, where are you at usually when your ideas flow the best?
Well, I think it's really in nature. Like I love, right? I'm just looking out the window and it's like we have this storm going and the snow is blowing and it's like crazy out there. So I don't really want to be out there right now. But normally I like to take a walk and I feel like the fresh air, nature, the sounds of birds. I go with my dog. And like if I have a problem with the story, it sort of just works itself out when I'm walking. So I feel like there's something about just being outdoors and just walking away from the thing that you're working on and your brain keeps working on it for you. But you're relaxed, right? I think your whole system just goes, ah, and then the ideas come and then it's like, oh, I know what to do now. So I know the benefits are so important, like they're, for exercise and all the things, but I think for creativity, I think it's just brilliant. So I think that's probably where I get the most inspiration and sort of a creative thing happens without me really trying.
Yeah, yeah. Because sometimes trying too hard will lock you up even more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. That's very
And
true.
there's nothing like waking up from a good night's sleep where your mind's had time to process without you actively thinking,
That's
where
right.
suddenly it's like, oh, ding, ding, this is how this should work in the story. Or, oh, here's a new idea for a book that I wouldn't have thought of otherwise, but this
Yes.
kind of came to me while I was dreaming.
Yeah, it's
Um,
incredible. I'm doing a lot of research right now on sleep and exactly that. Like we need it. Like we just need that time to just go through those uh like that whole sleep pattern and the dream time and all of those things. Like it's so important. Um, and if you're having trouble sleeping or you're having trouble with, insomnia, or you're having like sometimes people wake up frequently at night and can't get back to sleep. Oh, there's so many ways to handle that. Like there's just so many practical things to do. I love sleep. I love it.
I think it's
I'm a
safe to say we
champion
all do.
sleeper.
Sleep and food, you gotta love
Yes.
those
Yes,
things.
100%. I always say I'm a champion sleeper, except that when you're not, it's not good, right? And we all go through
No,
times when it's difficult. And then that's like, it's really hard to be creative if you're exhausted, right? Or you can't get through your day. So like
so
everything
true.
goes downhill if we're not sleeping well. So yeah, I find
True.
it such a fascinating topic.
Yes, it really can be.
Yeah.
Um, and then like on the creativity side, someone enjoys walking in nature. For me, the ideas flow when I'm driving, and so sometimes I have to
Yes.
have like an audio recording so I don't
Yes.
cause an accident, but that I can like get my thought down so I can come back to it. But just
I
seeing the
agree.
road, unlocking the mind, just on the highway, that's a
Yeah.
great place to be thinking.
No, I agree. I have actually, when I was working on this Cozy Mystery series, I was coming back from a writing retreat in sort of Queenston, which is like kind of near Niagara on the Lake, which is just on the border with the US. And I was driving home from that retreat, and all these ideas just downloaded. And it was just so fascinating because by the time I got home, I knew what I was going to write. And I knew what the story was and who these people were. And like, it was just so fun. But I think that's the thing about driving. Like, you're stuck. There's nowhere to like. You're in the car. You can't. So you're just. You might have the radio on, or you might have a podcast on, but if you're just let it be still, your brain is just gonna fire up. It's
Yeah,
such a great way to get ideas.
it really is, and it's just for people who love to drive, it's just one of the most enjoyable things. Yeah, where you fully relax and your mind wanders and click, click, click. Oh, here's this. I wasn't planning to think about it, but here it is.
Here it is, and the
Like the bluebird
scenery
of
can be so
happiness.
inspiring. And yeah, I know it's just crazy, right? I love that. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but for sure driving. I have a colleague that I work with here. We do a retreat called Rekindle Creativity Women's Writing Retreats every year. And every time I come home after a drive, she's like, oh no, because I have some new idea. Why don't we? She's like, oh no. Don't go on a road trip because you come back with too many ideas.
Yep, happens. Or sometimes some of the most inspirational things I've come up with have come from a seed of frustration or irritation. It's like,
Yes,
that idea that, oh, I hate this about this thing that I do in this job or this or that. And then you imagine a world where maybe the dystopian world, or where people find a way around that. And, just anything could be a seed of inspiration if you allow it to grow.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really good when there's something frustrating and how can you what if it was different, or what if it was set in a different time period? Yeah. I love that so much. Yeah, stories really are everywhere if we're looking for them. Like if we just notice, right? And think about them for a
Exactly.
second.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like one guy told me, it's just about, you've got the idea now. How will it live once it touches paper? But
Yes.
9 times out of
Yes.
10, I find that it does live on paper. It just
Yeah,
may
for
take a little
sure.
more effort for some than others, but
That's
there,
right.
it, there is a way to tell that story.
100%. And what I love about this too, I used to teach the creative writing class at the high school, and you would give them something like that, like some kernel of an idea, and give that to several students, and they would write completely different stories based on that one concept that was like, because that seed can grow in so many directions. And that's really fun to see what people do with those concepts and how they make them work.
Absolutely. I never loved being in English class. English
I'm
class annoyed
sorry.
me because of the whole, like, trying the grammar and, giving it like, this is a noun, this is a verb, that type of stuff. I
Yes.
always
Yeah.
did horrible with that. But
Yeah.
I loved the creative writing portion of that
Yes.
class. So when they would put a
Yeah.
picture up on the screen and say, okay, write a story about this picture.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
100%. Yeah, you could
But
tell already that you were a writer at that time. Yeah,
I,
amazing. Yeah.
the funny thing
And
is,
that's
I
often the
didn't
case.
fully realize it.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I used to have students who some of them were loved creative writing, and others who really was they were scared of it. They didn't know what to do, and some people liked the rules based things, like they liked the grammar stuff, which I don't get because I don't like it either. But I had to teach it. But they more thrived more writing essays where there's more of a pattern and there's an expectation. But the creative part for some people is difficult. So I always encourage people to just keep trying because it's one of those things where you get better like if you just keep accessing your creativity. I really think it's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. And I'm sure those of us who love to write probably drove our teachers crazy, because
Yes.
if you were like me, you'd go to the teacher, here's a story I wrote that you didn't assign.
That's
And you
right.
keep
Yeah.
coming up with these things, and they're like, yeah, that's nice. Now go away.
Yeah, here's my 100-page document.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
funny.
but I do wish, like, going back, if I could go back in time, I would whisper that teacher's ear, hey, she should be a writer. You should tell her that.
Right. It's true.
you know.
It's yeah, and like it was fun for me because having that class, I often got the people who were interested in creative writing. So I had my English students, the regular, they had to take the English class, but creative writing was always an additional class that they could take if they wanted to. So I rarely had students who didn't want to be there. Once in a while, I had somebody who's like, this is the only thing that fit in their schedule. And so they had to take the class. And then they struggled a bit. But the people who came were the ones who did love to write. And so, I have one girl who graduated from that. And she is now, I think she's written 4 books and I think she's in her early 30s. And yeah, she's like, it's just so lovely to see her doing that work that she had loved in high school. And she has her own another job, but she's never given up writing. So it's so great to see the kids keep going with it.
Absolutely. And I look back and I think, I think of people who, you know, for lack of guidance, end up in a job that, you know, one of my managers used to say, "This is the job you do until you figure out what you want to be."
Right. Right.
And that was back
Right.
in the days when I used to work with mortgages.
Yes.
So, there
Yeah.
was a handful of people who truly wanted to be mortgage professionals. The
Right.
rest of us were there just
Yeah.
counting our time until we figured out what we want to be one day.
Right. Yeah,
You
it's
know,
true. Yeah, it's true. And I think a lot of creative people um find some work difficult because they it's not creative enough for them. Like it's not an outlet for them. So they have to have that sort of side hustle, or they have to do their art or their music or their writing outside of work. So that can be challenging if you have a job that doesn't inspire you, but you have to pay the bills.
exactly. Or even if you haven't figured out your niche yet within the writing or music worlds, and let's face it, not everyone gets to make a living doing those things that
Yeah,
they love. We hope,
exactly.
we put
Yeah,
ourselves out there, but
100%.
at least it makes life livable. It's
Yeah,
something that makes the drudgery of the 9 to 5, you know, okay, I've done that, but now I get to
yeah,
do this. And so you have
100%.
still have some passion in your life.
Yeah, agreed. When I was teaching, I mean, it was kind of a perfect job for me in the sense that I was teaching English and I was teaching creative writing. So like even though it was like some of the stuff it wasn't like very exciting, but and I didn't love the marking and all of that, but I love the kids and they're so creative and they are like it's so fun to see them writing some amazing things. And so they were inspirational to me. And I had a little creative writing group and they would come to me at lunch and we'd just sit and have our lunch and write together. And like, so I would be able to get some writing done at work because I was with them
Nice.
writing and it was so fun. So like there was a way to kind of incorporate that creativity into my work, even though it wasn't necessarily the most creative job, but at least it was kind of adjacent. Like it was still I could talk about books and writing. So I felt like, okay, I'm sort of in the right zone here.
Absolutely. And this is where I would say to our audience, if you are not doing something creative that you used to love, or maybe you haven't found the creative thing that you like yet, maybe you thought you were bad at it, but maybe give it a second try, because odds are there's something out there for you. You just haven't found it yet, or you haven't trusted yourself for it yet.
I agree with you. Absolutely. And I feel like it doesn't matter what age you are. I feel like you have to just keep trying things. Like I just around the pandemic time, I had never tap danced before, but I took a adult tap dancing class and it was so fun. Like just a totally different way to move your body. And so I did that for maybe 3 years and I'd like to go back to it actually, but it just try things that you've never done. Like just try it. Like what's the harm in doing a year of something, get a
Yeah.
class or paint or crochet or knit or whatever it is that fills your cup because like you say, otherwise our days can be very long and very dull. But if we're doing something creative, then we feel like, okay, this is fun. I mean, I know a lot of people who just love to create like do puzzles, and that's just a real relaxing way to spend time.
And if
And
that
and
works for
and it
you,
lets your
great.
brain do its thing. Yeah, yeah, right. So
Mhm.
for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and I would go so far as to say maybe you thought you were really bad at something. I'll give it for instance.
Yeah,
Because let's face it, public education, it's one size fits all. So, you're in a classroom of people, and some people might be very gifted artists. They might paint beautifully right off the bat. Maybe they've even had some help at home because maybe that's a talent in their family. And so I felt like I was not a good painter. And I believed that about myself until about 30 years later when someone had a painting party and I went off the beaten path from the rest of the class. I was following along, but then I created my own things in the midst of everything. And turned out I had a flair I did not even know I had.
amazing. Yeah, right. You don't even know. And I think we all carry around some of those messages we received as children, and not that somebody said something intentionally, but we just believed it, and then we carry that around for years until we go like, well, maybe that's wrong, and let's try something, or let's do this, or I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do it, whatever. It just doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it for fun. And all of a sudden, we're like, oh no, I really love this thing. So yeah, I think we have to let go of some of the thoughts we have about ourselves too, right? And challenge them a little bit.
Try it another time. Try it with a better instructor. Try it on your own. You might
Yeah.
be surprised.
Yeah. I love that so much. It's great.
Yeah. We only get to live, our life. So why not make it the best possible experience that you have the power to make it?
Yeah. Absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
Totally.
So as we wrap up, because our time goes fast because we have such a
It
great time
does.
talking, um, our last guest asked the question, and this one might take some thinking. If you had a warning label, what would it be?
Oh, so I think I know the answer to this because I'm an Aries. So Aries can be pretty fiery and a little bit impatient.
Mm,
So I think maybe that's what it'd be. Warning. Impatient or um, I don't think I have an explosive temper or anything like that. I think I'm pretty calm in a lot of ways, but I can be impatient. I like things done yesterday. So my husband has to remind me, no, no, this takes some time. Relax. Okay.
that maybe is why you're having trouble carving out time for yourself too, because you want to get
That's
everything done.
true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Cause I'm like, oh, I can do that now. Why I don't have to wait. I'll do it now. And yeah, I probably need to just go, oh no, this is my time to just relax. I have to learn to relax, I think.
It's an art.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, do you have a question for the next guest?
Yes, I have a question for the next guest. I would like to know if that person, what brings that person the most joy in their life?
Okay. What brings you the most joy in your life? Great. And so, as we wrap up, do you have anything you specifically would like to share with our audience before we call it a day?
No, I think I shared. So just remind people about Right On 2026, which is at the end of May, and we're going to have registration open soon. So Book Coaches Canada. But you can probably, I think the landing page is already open, so you can take a quick peek. But we'll have that open soon, so folks can watch for that and join us for some of the sessions. I think they'll find them really, really good.
And
Yeah.
did you, I don't know if I just heard it very quickly, or did you actually say the website where they would find that?
Well, it will be under Right On 2026, and
Okay.
so I think there'll be the landing page. I believe is open now, but we will have registration open within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. So
So
if they
it's a
Google
work in
right on
progress.
2026,
Yeah, so
or
if they
would it
Google
be,
Right On 2026, they'll be able to find
it'll
it for
pop up?
sure.
Okay. Okay. I just
Yeah,
really wanted
for
to make sure
sure.
that I could find it, they could find it.
Yeah. Yes, and I can also send you, Zoe, the link when it's ready to go so that you can
Yeah,
share it and then you can register.
that's
I'd love to see you
perfect.
there.
Yeah, and I think this episode is going to launch, I think, in the middle of May, so it'll be really good timing for them to be aware of it, and the website should hopefully
Yes.
be active by that point.
Yeah,
So
it'll
we
be
will do
open by
that.
then for sure.
All
Amazing.
right. Well,
Okay.
excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us again. And
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Oh, we always have lovely conversations and it's so fun to chat with you.
same here. Really enjoy it. All right, folks, thank you for joining us. Please be sure to check out Right On 2026 about the time that you see this episode in the middle of May. Check out Lisa's website for help with coaching. Check out her new books. And be sure to check out our sister broadcast, Behind the Diagnosis, Famous Lives Untold. It should be a good 10 or 15 episodes or better by the time this episode airs. So check that out as well. Tell your friends, like, subscribe. Thank you very much.